The HBCU football season will open with a bang at the MEAC SWAC Challenge. Two of the top HBCU teams in the nation will clash as the SWAC Southern Jaguars host the MEAC South Carolina State Bulldogs in the Battle on the Bluff. Kickoff set for 1:30 p.m. at Southern's A.W. Mumford Stadium. And the bands? Both the Marching 101 and the Human Jukebox will be grooving all weekend long. The 2017 MEAC SWAC Challenge.
Hi, this is head coach Mike London, Howard University. Calling in, giving an update on the Bisons just finishing their second week as we go into our third week. Going back, looking at last week, we had a transition period going on with our true freshmen coming in and getting acclimated to checking into school and camp, going through the homesickness and all those things that happen when a young man goes away. Our upperclassmen embraced them and became, mentors and big brothers. And we go through a period of practicing and you're doing football, all day, meetings and lifting and training. It gets to be an arduous task, but at the same time, you develop a brotherhood. Going into the third week, we're looking at the depth chart. There's a lot of true freshmen that we have that we recruited out of this last class that has talent that we're going to look to be in our depth chart and are too deep. So bringing them along with the schemes and systems that we've had is going to be critically important. We've had officials at our practices. We've had seminars and film sessions about the new rules and legislation that's in place as far as college football. But into the third week, we're looking we're looking pretty good. There's some things we got to improve upon, but our team is a focused team. Look forward to finally getting into the UNLV aspect. It's our first game, September 2nd. School starts next Monday. This is our last week of training camp, so there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts that are going on, but it's what you do in college football. So we're looking forward to having the opportunity to get ready, represent the MEAC, and go out and play our first three games on the road, UNLV, Kent State, and then University of Richmond, which is my alma mater. But as far as the players are concerned, we're moving forward, and we look like a team that wants to win, is hungry to win, and we want to make sure that we make our Bison alumni out there very proud of the product of young men on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. So thanks for listening. It's a great show. Mike, I appreciate the opportunity to call in, and I'll do so again at the conclusion of this week as we finish our third week of training camp. Take care, and everybody have a good day.
This is the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. We have been able to sit down close and personal with head football coach for the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. That's none other than Coach Shotgun Willie Simmons. How you doing, Coach?
Doing well, Mike. How you doing, bro?
Great, man. Always good to be able to sit down and discuss X's and O's with you. We got through the first scrimmage. For the most part, everybody's coming out in pretty good shape, getting some of those jitters out of the way. And we were able now to start separating the boys from men, if you will, as far as getting game ready and the Warriors in training to the already established Warriors. Give us a little kickback and feedback on what your assessments were so far.
Well, after watching the film, I felt pretty good. Kind of the same way I felt yesterday. We did some good things on both sides of the ball. I thought the guys that played, we held a lot of the older guys because, again, we've seen what they can do, so we wanted to really get to see what some of the younger guys could do. But some guys stood out and made some plays. We missed a few plays, left a lot on the field. Offensively especially, I thought there were a lot of potential for big plays that we left on the field because of a technique flaw or a missed assignment, something like that. Defensively, I thought a couple of times we struggled getting lined up. But for the most part, for first scrimmage, I thought those guys competed hard and did a pretty good job. So aside from the turnover, the penalties on both sides of the ball, I thought it was a successful scrimmage.
Now, with that being said, I know one of the goals, there was a down year offensively last year as far as plays per game. You were averaging somewhere between 75 and 80. Last year, we were down to about 60. And I know a lot of people focus in on the skill players as far as execution goes. But from my observation, there's been a lot of interchanging and rediscovering that offensive line. How's that coming along for you right now?
Well, they're the key to the whole thing. If they're playing at a high level, it gives us a chance to be successful. Of course, we're able to establish the ground game. Those guys can move people off the ball and create running lanes for us. Our running backs are definitely talented enough to make big plays in the backfield. We have talented quarterbacks who can throw the football, so if they protect them and give them time, we have dangerous receivers and tight ends. So we have the potential, as far as our skill players, to be a very, very explosive offense. But I think all of it will hinge on how well those 5 offensive linemen come together and grow throughout the season.
Now, Coach, you just mentioned about your quarterbacking trio that we like to identify it as. I'm going to give you now the tangible that each one of your quarterbacks brings to the game. I know all these guys are highly talented, and they play on a very exceptional level. But if you were to say the one thing that stands out about each quarterback, starting whichever one you want to start with, and I'll let you have that floor right now.
Well, start with Jalen Morton, just his physical attributes. I mean, he has the strongest arm that I've been around. He can. Everyone saw him last year. He can throw the ball a country mile. He runs really, really well, really athletic. But his physical ability is as good as anybody I've seen. Lavelle has a really good combination of physical skills. He's faster than many of us expected. I think he is. We thought Jalen ran really well, but I think Lavelle gets the edge as far as the best pure runner that we have. And seeing the 45-yard scamper that he had in yesterday's scrimmage, he may be one of the fastest guys we have on this team. And then Nico is his gifts are not so much the physical. I mean, he has a pretty good arm, but not great arm. He's not nearly the runner that the other 2 guys are, but he does have really good size. I mean, he's 6'4", he's 245 pounds, and so it allows him to see over the line of scrimmage, allows him to be strong in the pocket and break a lot of tackles and extend plays with his body. So he's not going to be a guy that's going to maybe rush for 100 yards a game, but he's a guy that can buy time with his legs. So they all have a pretty good skill set. As far as throwing the football, they can make all the throws. As far as running, Lavelle and Jalen get the nod there. But Nico, makes up a lot of things with the intangibles, which I'm sure is something that you'll talk about as well.
Absolutely. Now, one thing that I've noticed that when you're looking at Lavelle, if you're an outsider looking at this guy for the first time, you'd almost think this guy is halfway going through the motions, but yet he seems to get things done. It's almost effortless to see this guy in rotation.
Oh, no question. A lot of things that he does is effortless. The way he throws the football, he has a smooth delivery. His footwork is always on point. And then when he takes off and runs, I mean, it almost looks like he's jogging. But he's not jogging. I mean, he's gaining ground, and the guys that are chasing him realize soon enough that this guy is really, really running. He's galloping. Lavelle's a big guy as well. I mean, all of our quarterbacks over 6'3". So again, that he has a long stride, an effortless stride, and so it doesn't look like he's running really fast, but he's really gaining ground. So he's a guy that has, again, a lot of physical attributes that can make him a really special player.
Now, one thing that has been noticed around college football, in particular from FBS to FCS, there has been a huge trend of players, and we won't say the term stepping down, but crossing over to FCS competition that have come from FBS schools, and Prairie View is no exception to the rule. They've benefited from some players like that. What do you think has created this phenomenon right now?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call it a phenomenon. I mean, I'm a product of I'm a transfer. I left Clemson in 2002 or 2003 and transferred to the Citadel. Coach KJ Black left Western Kentucky, who was an FBS program, and transferred here to Prairie View. And we've been lucky, fortunate in the past. Jalen Coleman, based on circumstances with the UAB program, we got him. Terrence Singleton last year, came from Baylor and started for us. So it's something that I think we always keep our fingers crossed for. Guys who are leaving FBS programs, and because of the rules, they can step right in and play. We're one of the few sports in all of college athletics where you can transfer somewhere and play right away. So if you come from an FBS program down to an FCS, you don't have to sit a year like basketball would if you left Texas and tried to come to Prairie. They wouldn't be able to play right away unless they were a graduate. And so the rule which allows those guys to play really gives us an advantage, and we always want to make sure that we're keeping our eyes and ears open for those potential guys who want to maybe get closer to home, maybe get a little bit more playing time. Things aren't going the way that they maybe expected them to go at that level, and they feel like they have a home here, and they come here and make a name for themselves again.
Now, one thing these guys do realize, some of them probably come in a little bit overconfident, but once they get here or wherever else the FCS would lead them, they realize these guys are working just as hard, if not harder, than these guys on the FBS level.
No question about it. A lot of them definitely in for a rude awakening. They show up thinking, hey, I played at Texas or Oklahoma or LSU or wherever, and I'm going to walk on campus and be the best player on the field. And they learn quickly that, hey, these guys work really, really hard too. These guys really love football as well. These guys are probably, not to say just as good, but a lot of these guys are maybe just a couple of inches too short to go to a Power 5 school. Maybe 10 to 15 pounds too light to go to a Power 5 school. But as far as being a football player, these guys are really, really good football players. And so all those guys, Terrence came in and learned that right away. Jalen Coleman learned that right away. And because they were hard workers and because they were willing to buy in, they were able to step on the field and play for us. And we have a couple of transfers that have come in to us now, and they're younger guys. They're not the older guys like Terrence Singleton was last year, but they'll hopefully make their mark on us, and maybe they'll get to see the field this year as well.
We're speaking with Coach Willie Simmons, head football coach of the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. I'm the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. You're listening to the Mike Prince Show. Coach, we are a couple of weeks away from end of all talking, end of all prepping, and it's time to get in and get it done. And that's no doubt against Texas Southern for the Labor Day Classic. Right now, I don't want to call off any jinx, but you've had pretty good success against Texas Southern and, in fact, with the Labor Day Classic. No surprise move. There have been some counter moves from the neighbors down the road with the inclusion of what I've been dubbing as the pre-SWAC MEAC Challenge, where Florida A&M will be taking on Texas Southern August the 26th. There was nothing that could necessarily be done about that in preparation for this 2017 campaign, but when speaking with the athletic director / vice president of intercollegiate athletics, Dr. Charles McCullen, and speaking with Mike Haywood, they stressed the importance of what it was for them to have this game prior to the Labor Day Classic because of so much weight that's on this one game. And you've answered correctly, hey, you can only prepare for this game, the pluses and the minuses of having them play a week ahead. But now, we just got fresh off the press that there's been a counter to that for the 2018 campaign, and I'm hoping we are at liberty to go ahead and discuss that a little bit. And if so, I would let the listeners know what, in fact, we're talking about.
Yeah, the start of the 2018 season, similar to Texas Southern playing Florida A&M in what college football dubs Week 0, which is the official start of college football. This year they're playing Florida A&M. Next year we will open up the season at Rice. And so we saw an opportunity there. Rice plays Hawaii. So the way the NCAA words in their legislature, in order to play a Week 0 game, one, you have to play Hawaii. So if anyone on your schedule plays Hawaii, or you schedule a team that plays Hawaii, they can play a Week 0 game. Everyone knows how tough that trip is to Hawaii. Rice has Hawaii on the schedule next year. So they were allowed to play a Week 0 game. And so, of course, we contacted them. They were open to the idea. And so we'll open up the season in 2018 down at Rice Stadium against the Owls.
So would this be something that you plan to try and connect with in the future as long as you can?
We'll look at it. It's the first year we're doing it, and so we'll see if it benefits the team. Again, I don't know if it gives you a competitive advantage or not against your crosstown rival, being that it's the first regular season game of the year, so to speak. But we'll see what happens with it, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun for the guys to open up against Rice down there in week 0. And but again, my athletic director, Ms. Ashley Robinson, and myself will sit down and talk scheduling into the future. And of course, with the changing landscape of the SWAC right now, with the 7-game schedule, with the championship game being done away with, we as a member in the conference, along with the other members, are eager to see what changes, if possible, will be made to scheduling moving forward, whether we stay with the 7-game format or we go back to the 9-game.
Now, how does this affect the schedule? I know you can play 11 games, so that means you just take a bye down toward the end of the season a little bit more, or you end up with 2 byes later on down the season?
Well, typically you have 2 bye weeks. So for us this year, we'll have a bye week the week after homecoming, before homecoming, and then the last week of the season, the week, of course, of the Bayou Classic, pretty much everyone in the conference has a bye week. So typically we have 2 bye weeks in an 11-game schedule. And whenever you play a week 0 game, now that just goes to 3 bye weeks. So we'll have an extra week during the season where we can take a bye week. That's probably the biggest difference.
Okay. We're talking with Shotgun Willie Simmons of the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. We've talked a little bit about that 2018. We got that out the way, so now we can get focused back on the season at hand. No doubt about it. This has been dubbed, and I'm pretty sure you may have heard your athletic director now put a little pressure on you and say, okay, Shotgun, we got to have it happen. This is year 3. You've gone 8-2, 7-4, and it would be an awesome thing to close out the championship game as we know it, ending up in Atlanta right now. And I know what you're probably going to say, but I got to ask it anyway. Do you feel any added pressure or any urgency to win this season?
No more than we put on ourselves. I mean, our expectation here is a championship, and we're fortunate to have a team that we feel is talented enough to win a championship. We're fortunate to have an administration who we feel supports us enough to win a championship, a student body, an alumni base who can support us and push us and drive us towards that championship. So all the pieces are there for us to be in Houston, come early December. And so for us, there's no pressure to win a championship. There's pressure to do everything we can do to make sure that we're not wasting an opportunity. So we've had 2 good runs, like you said, in years past. We came up 1 game short in year 1, came up 2 games short last year. And so for us, we feel like this is the year that we can put it all together, be the team that truly buys into everything that we sell, that really believes in our 7 Fs, that tries to carry that out in every aspect of their lives, not just on the football field, but off the football field. And we feel like if we do those things, we give ourselves the best chance to be successful and win a championship. And we're on that push every single day on that journey to come together as a team, build our brand, change the culture, and do every single thing that we can as a team to achieve our goals. And we feel like we're on the right path to doing that. And of course, it's only 10 days in, but right now, early prognosis, things look pretty well.
Now, Coach, I was fortunate enough to cover the MEAC Media Day in Norfolk, Virginia. And it's almost the same echo, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. Is Celebration Bowl a bust? The playoffs, okay, but how important is this Celebration Bowl, not just to Willie Simmons, but to the SWAC and the MEAC from your perspective?
It's huge. I think both conferences are doing a better job of building their brands. It's something that we talk to our team about. What is the Prairie View brand? When people see that PVMU logo with the Panther head at the top of it, what does it mean to them? What type of team do they expect to see? What type of things do they expect to come out of this program? And that's what branding is all about. So when you see that SWAC logo or that MEAC logo, what type of things do outside people think about our conferences? Well, 2 years in a row, the Celebration Bowl has been one of the most viewed bowl games during bowl season. I think there are 41 bowls. This past season, the Celebration Bowl was ranked 11 out of 41 bowls. Of the pre-New Year's Day bowls, they were second, the most viewed. So again, there's a lot of buzz behind the Celebration Bowl. It's a great way to highlight our institutions. It's the very first bowl game of the season. They get tons of media coverage on that day. The bands are magnified. Of course, the football team is magnified, but the university as a whole is magnified. And so for us as black college conferences who maybe doesn't get the national recognition that our white counterparts do, I think it's critical that we continue to strive for the Celebration Bowl. They've done a great job with the game. We continue to make it a great game. You're talking about champion of the MEAC versus champion of the SWAC, so two very good football teams. Both years have been very close games, come down to the wire. And so it's really been a good product for the fans. And so hopefully we can continue that. And hopefully it's the Prairie A&M Panthers representing the SWAC this year and really bringing a lot of good publicity to the conference and to this university.
Speaking with Shotgun Willie Simmons of the Prairie View A&M University Panthers, getting ready for the 2017 campaign. Coach Simmons, it is always intriguing to talk X's and O's with you, but I got to bash you a little bit. Defense did a little stingy act down there at the goal line set on yesterday's scrimmage, man. What you got to say about that, man?
They did, and that's good to see because like I told the defense, football field's 100 yards long for a reason. You get 0 points for going 99.9 yards. You have to cross that white line. And so it's good for those guys to see them not quit. We had scored a couple of touchdowns later in the scrimmage, so they could have easily shut down and given up and just said, hey, we've lost the scrimmage, so whatever. But those guys dug in deep. They were challenged by their coaches, by their teammates, by the other seniors on the team. And those guys showed up big down there. So, again, it was great to see for that side. From the offensive side, of course, that's a little discouraging. Not necessarily that we got stopped, but there were a ton of penalties. I think we had 3 or 4 penalties inside the 5-yard line, which are totally unacceptable. So we have to clean that up. We have to play with better pad level up front. We have to run a little bit harder in the backfield to ensure that we fall forward and get into the end zone. But it was a good way to end the scrimmage. A lot of competition, those 6 plays, and it gives you a chance to see everyone's tired at this point. They've all played 80-plus plays. They're all a little beat up. They're all a little tired. Who's going to dig in deep for those plays and really sell out for their team? And I thought the defense did a great job yesterday of showing that they're not quitters and that they're willing to finish everything. And that's one of our F words is finish. And so they did a good job of finishing, and now the offense has to follow suit and understand we get down there as an offense that we have to punch it in.
Now, a lot of people, they lose focus on special teams, which could really make or break not only a game but your season. And with your assessment, I know for a fact that you spend a lot more time on special team than most of the other coaches. How are you assessing the special teams and as far as the kicking game in particular?
Well, we put a lot of time into it. We practice it every single day. We have a kicking scrimmage coming up this Wednesday, so we'll have a better barometer of what we are as a kicking team after this Wednesday. We've been working a lot on fundamentals for the first couple of weeks of practice. Haven't done a lot schematically, so this will be really the first time that we put it all together in all 4 phases: punt, return, kickoff, and kickoff coverage, and we'll see kind of where we are. Most of our specialists are back. Most of the guys that have played on those units are all back. So on paper, it looks like we should have a really good special teams unit. But again, it means everyone has to buy in. All those guys have to understand the importance of it, the value of it. And like I told them, if you're going to rest on a play, make it be an offensive or defensive play. It can't be a special teams play because those plays are so limited throughout the game that one mishap can, like you said, cost you the game, which in turn can possibly cost you the season. So we definitely understand the importance of it, and we're going to continue to drill it and practice it as much as we can to make sure that that's a weapon for us this season and not a hindrance.
Now, Coach, I'm about to have a little fun with you. There's no doubt there's a mutual respect for both these MEAC and SWAC coaches and your connection with other FBS coaches. But I want you to narrow this down for me. And I'm trying to find the right way that I can word this where no one gets upset. But who is it that you admire on the FCS circuit and why as a coach and a head coach?
On the FCS circuit?
Yes.
Just one guy?
Just one. You can only pick one today.
I admire a lot of them. So to try to narrow it down to one guy, As crazy as it sounds, I'd have to say Broderick Fobbs at Grambling. Coach Fobbs, the guy that took over a program that at the time was a laughing stock of college football. Those guys that basically walked out of a football game, didn't even play a football game the year before, and subsequently had to travel to Jackson State 3 years in a row. And so he took over that program. Of course, he's an alum of Grambling, so he understands the history and tradition of that program. But in 1 year, turned the entire landscape of that program around. And in 3 years, has gone 25-2 in conference play. And so for him to go in and establish his culture, to get those guys to buy into what he's building there has truly been inspiring to me. And of course, being that we're Western Division counterparts, I'm being judged every year on my ability to beat him, which unfortunately in 2 years that we've been unable to do so. But again, he's a guy that we spent a whole day together in Dallas that week of the State Fair game. So I've grown to know him personally. We talk about our families, we talk about our wives and our children. We talk about our former players and how we continue to try to build our programs and our brands. And so he's a guy I have a ton of respect for. But again, throughout this league, I have a ton of respect for a lot of coaches in this league. Rick Cummagee, even though he's in a tough situation at Mississippi Valley, I have a ton of respect for him. Dawson Odoms, the job he's done at Southern. James Spady, even one of my coaching buddies. On the MEAC side, I know Alex Wood down at Florida A&M. So again, I know a ton of guys at this level, and there's some really, really good football coaches at the FCS level. And given the right situation, given the right opportunity, I feel those guys can be just as successful at a FBS Power 5 school as they are at the FCS level. So again, it's hard to pinpoint one because there's so many great coaches at this level. But again, I do want to tip my hat to Broderick Fobbs, who's the reigning SWAC champion, for the job that he's done at Grambling. And of course, he's someone we're all gunning for.
Coach Shotgun Willie Simmons and the Panthers getting closer to kickoff day, Labor Day Classic 2017 edition, September the 2nd, 8 p.m. at the BBVA Conference Stadium in Houston, Texas. Coach, I'm going to give you the last words, and we'll wrap this one up.
Getting ready. 3 weeks away. So again, it's coming around fast. I hope everyone has their tickets to that game. But again, I hope you have your tickets to not only that game, but 5 days later, our home opener versus Sam Houston State. I hope everyone's purchased their season ticket package so they can be to every home game here in Panther Stadium, Blackshear Field, and then up in Dallas at the State Fair Classic. So again, this is a year that we're dubbing as our year, and it's going to take huge support from our fan base, from our alumni, from the student body to make this happen. And our motto for the year is fall in. And it's our 7 F's at the beginning of the fall in, and then all in, which is something that we want to be. But that's everyone. That's not just a football team. That's the entire Prairie View family. That's the entire Prairie View community, all being all in. Let's fall in this thing together. Let's try to finish this thing in Houston with the SWAC championship, and let's go tear down Atlanta in the Celebration Bowl. And looking forward to seeing everyone in purple and gold supporting the Panthers this year. Well, they say the third time is a charm. This is year 3 for Coach Shotgun Willie Simmons and the Panthers, leading the charge that will hopefully end in Atlanta, Georgia. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. As always, it is a joy and a pleasure to bring you what you asked for, and that is inside, in-depth information, not only on our beloved Panthers, but the Southwestern Athletic Conference and the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, and much, much more. Until the next time, you guys be blessed. We'll see you on the other side.